I am your host, James Yoder. You're watching the Michigan Football Report. Folks, it is game day. We're going to put this cutout on game day morning Saturday. We're filming it on Wednesday evening with our YouTube live show. Taking your questions using hashtag Michigan or Super Chats. We've got our first question coming up from Andrew Lane. What's Andrew saying? He says, how does Michigan scheme for Duggan? I mean, I think as I've thought about it more, just literally like kind of having thoughts in my mind as we've been doing this show, I think there could be something to R.J. Moten moving from safety, right? Lost his starting job to Makari Page, moving from safety to linebacker, of spying R.J. Moten, right? I think Mike Barrett, if you watch in certain games this year, Maryland in particular, maybe Penn State a little bit, Junior Colston and Mike Barrett had trouble sticking with quarterbacks out of the backfield or running backs coming out to receive the passes out of the backfield. And potentially, R.J. Moten moving from a safety position where he is having to make tackles in the open field all the time, sometimes. And then, of course, covering tight ends, covering running backs out of the backfield. That could potentially be a surprise wrinkle from this defense. Now, I originally thought when I saw it is they're doing it to have more linebacker help, more depth against Georgia and their tight end, 3 or 4 tight ends that can really take care of the ball upfield and get down and catch passes. But maybe it's for this game against TCU. Maybe it's for spying Max Duggan. But in general, I just think with a running quarterback, you got to make him think twice before he takes off and runs the ball. Every time he passes the ball, every time he drops back, you got to get a hit on him. When he does run, don't let him just slide. Don't get a penalty, but get a hit on him before he goes down and slide, and he'll kind of start questioning himself every time he goes to leave the pocket, or hell, even time when he goes back to throw a pass. If you guys haven't yet, follow me. It's at James Yoder. I'm going to follow back the next 5 people who give me a follow on Twitter. It is at James Yoder. If you get a chance, Producer Brett, toss that bad boy. I've actually got it right here in the live chat. I'll toss it. It's also in the comments and the description of today's video. Give me a follow. I'm going to follow back the next 5 people as we hit 10,000 followers a week ago. We're now at about 10,100, so appreciate you if you followed already. But if you want to get a return follow back, just hit me at James Yoder on Twitter. Who will be the X factor on both sides of the ball? I've got 2. We've got Colston Loveland. I'm going to show his stats really quick. I think on offense, it's going to be Colston Loveland. I think we're looking at an emerging team right now this year that's really going to propel Michigan to a legendary season again next year. If I were to put Michigan's best 4 players, that's not best 4 players. Best is maybe not fair to offensive linemen and others. Let's just say most impactful players when it comes to having the ball in their hand or making plays on the ball. It's true freshman Colston Loveland, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. Ohio State, Purdue. It's true sophomore Donovan Edwards, 2 touchdowns against Ohio State, 200 yards, a touchdown against Purdue, another almost 200 yards as well. J.J. McCarthy, 6 touchdowns in the last 2 games in the air, 1 on the ground. True sophomore. How about the defensive side? Who's Michigan's best player in defense? How about Will Johnson? 2 interceptions against Purdue, true freshman. So you may have 2 true sophomores, 2 true freshmen that are among your most impactful players. Now, that's doing a big disservice to Zach Zinter and Olu Oluwatimi because I think those guys are really what has made this Michigan team go, especially against Ohio State. But impact players making plays on the ball, those 4 guys going forward. So those are my X factors. I think Will Johnson on defense. We all know about J.J. McCarthy. We all, of course, know about Donovan Edwards. But how about Colston Loveland on offense? Expecting huge games from both those guys. Today's Michigan Football Report is brought to you by Fetch. Fetch is a super easy to use and free app that lets you earn rewards on literally anything that you buy. Scan any physical receipt or e-receipt, and you earn points for your purchases. And the process only takes seconds, so you don't have to worry about where the receipt is from or what's on it. So let me show you here how simple it is. All you do is open up the Fetch app, you press the orange camera button, and snap a photo, folks, of your receipt, and then you hit the submit button, and you will see that confetti pop showing that you've earned more reward points. It's a simple process. You can also click on the e-receipt function and get rewarded for your Amazon purchases or other online shopping, or hell, Uber receipts, Instacart as well, just by syncing up your email account. You can then redeem those points for gift cards at Amazon, Starbucks, or any of hundreds of retailers and restaurants available. Fetch is available for iPhone or Android. Use our link, chatsports.com/fetch. That's chatsports.com/fetch. You see it down at the bottom of the screen. You see it in the copy of the video we're putting in the live chat as well. Use our link, chatsports.com/fetch. Enter promo code chat. Sign up and get 5,000 points when you scan your first receipt. That's the equivalent of a $5 free gift card. It's a free app.
And your first
iPhone,
receipt.
Android. Go to chatsports.com/fetch. It'll drop you on the store to download it for iPhone or Android. And make sure you use that promo code chat. Scan your first receipt, and you get 5,000 bonus points. Use Fetch. Support the show. Support our sponsors who help keep these shows for free, and get rewarded for all of your purchases. It's a free app, and you get points and redeem those points for gift cards. What's to lose? Go download Fetch right now, chatsports.com/fetch. Guy from the UP. Is that Guy Fieri? I think it might be. Wonder if it's actually him. Probably not. What position group will see the most transfers after the playoffs are over? Good question. Interesting question. I think it's not one Michigan's really talking about because Michigan's only had a few, Lewis Hansen, right? 5th string tight end. And then Eric All, Cade McNamara. Starting tight end, starting quarterback last year. Game 1. Both lost their jobs. Cade to performance. Eric All to injury. Now on to Iowa. But interesting question to think about because Michigan's got to lose the guys, right? They're way over budget for 85 scholarships going into next season. I think one area that you'll see some unexpected transfers is, probably the offensive line, right? Because you're bringing in 3 starters from the Pac-12, 2 from Stanford, 1 from Arizona State. I don't think any of those guys are guaranteed any starting positions, but I would potentially see the offensive line and then maybe the linebacker position. If you're bringing in a star in Ernest Hausman from Nebraska, a star freshman, that's kind of making me think that they're not happy with the guys they've got as underclassmen. Also, I've heard some rumblings about wide receiver, maybe see a transfer or 2 right there. Potentially even defensive line. Actually, George Rook's already left. So those 3 positions, wide receiver for Michigan, of course, offensive line, and then also maybe even the defensive line. We'll see how it plays out, though, over the next couple weeks. I don't expect any Michigan players to transfer until after the final game for the Wolverines, which, of course, will be on January 9th. But if there are, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. If there are any transfers, any impact players, any future impact players that transfer away from this program, you will know about it here on the Michigan Football Report, YouTube's only daily Michigan football show during the season. We're at 25,466 subscribers. Let's get to 26,000 by game time. By the end of the game, how about on Saturday against TCU? We are just 534 away. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't, or send that link. Help us, recommend it to a friend. The best recommendations in life come from your friends. Send them the link, youtube.com/MichiganTV. Do you think Moody could be the difference from Bill Graves? I sure as hell hope not, because I think Michigan over the last month, outside the Illinois game, maybe that was the outlier where he was the difference, but over the last 5 games, let's say, outside of Illinois, Michigan has really kind of overcome their red zone issues. J.J. McCarthy has felt more comfortable passing in the red zone. Donovan Edwards and prior to that, Blake Corum have felt they've started to get into, not being stopped at the 3-yard line. They're getting in there, and Michigan's been a little more creative passing the ball, passes to Ronnie Bell and others, where the first 7 games of the year, 8 games of the year, there was that stretch after UConn, Colorado State, and Hawaii, first 5 games of the Big Ten season that really struggled to get the ball in the end zone. So I hope not, but if we're going to rely on a kicker, who better than the best kicker in the history of the Michigan football program, Lou Groza Award winner from the 2021 season, All-American Jake Moody. If it comes down to that, I would not want the foot of anyone other than Jake Moody kicking the ball if it's a 50-yarder, 47-yarder, 52-yarder, 35-yarder to win the game for this team. Mark Majkowski says, how many TDs plus third down, first downs for? Okay, so I get what he's saying. How many touchdowns for him, and then how many times does he get a first down on third down for Kalel Mullings? Yards over under 60. I'm going to say way under 60, all right? I'm going to say 16 yards. And that might be crazy. I'm going to set the over-under at 16. So, 50-50 that he goes over or under. But if he gets even close to 25, I would be very surprised. But I'll say 2 times he will either convert a goal line situation for a touchdown or a third down for a first down. I'll go 2 impactful carries, third and short that turns into first down, or second down, third down, hell, even fourth down and goal, and gets in the end zone, and maybe just 16 to 20 yards rushing for the day. I'll say 4 carries for Mullings, 1 first down, maybe a touchdown, and 17 yards rushing. Mark Miller, do you think that TCU will make some mistakes as OSU, the same mistakes as OSU, and try and load the box to stop the run? They will make that mistake. But what they have that Ohio State doesn't have is two big-time cornerbacks. I heard a podcast a couple days ago, TCU beat writer. He says, well, our guy won the Thorpe Award, best guy in secondary, best corner in the country. But if he wasn't there, our other corner would have won it. So some people think our own Harrison Graham says, well, corner number 2, and I'm forgetting their names at this point, he was better half the games than the guy who won the Thorpe Award. So Michigan, if they are going to have success against that, man defense that Ohio State ran, if TCU runs as well, I think it's the hope that TCU keeps the 3-3-5 defense and doesn't have the big boys up front. Ohio State had 4 and 5 up defensive linemen, but then their linebackers came in and they either missed the gap or go watch those 2 plays. There is some film out there. I put it on Twitter. It's on YouTube as well, of Donovan Edwards' 2 touchdown runs. It is really amazing how Zach Zinter and Olu Olutimi, they created the hole for both those long touchdown runs. They block 4 guys between them. It's like they line up, and it's like, we're going to block this way, then we're going to block this way, then we're going to separate the hole. It's like Oluwatimi goes this way, blocks a guy. He goes this way, blocks the other guy, and then he kind of goes and he blocks a second guy. So it was 3 blocks. It was amazing to watch those 2 guys work in tandem, and they created just enough crease. 2.5 feet for Donovan Edwards to slip through, and it's off to the races and gone. So if TCU brings a 3-3-5 defense, even if they got 6 or bring a safety down 7 in the box, I think Michigan's going to have an absolute field day against them with the running game. Couple super chats coming in. Mark Shorian, you're going to sticker Mark, so we're going to get your name here on the Michigan Football Report. If you guys are watching this on game day, $10 super chat gets you on the helmet. We've run out of room in the helmet. I got one coming in a couple days, and we will have one for a show next week. Got 2 new helmets coming. He says, go blue. Do you think Michigan's defense tries the same scheme against Ohio and doesn't respect Max Duggan's run game? They better not. All right? They better not. I'm going to write Mark's name down here. If Michigan doesn't account for the running ability of Max Duggan, they are in for a world of hurt. They really are. Because C.J. Stroud, Coleridge Stroud, one of the softest players in college football, he can run. Look at his freshman year. Some of his best plays when he came in for Justin Fields were in the running game. As I'm going to give Mark a spot on the whiteboard taken up for the helmet. So we'll get you on the helmet next week, Mark. They've got to account for him. So it's a different defensive perspective. TCU's got a better running game than Ohio State. Worse receivers, but maybe a better individual receiver because of the deep ball threat that he can bring. And then, a running quarterback. So it's got to be a different defense. They've got to account for Max Duggan, and they have got to win the ground game against TCU, their ground game, by only keeping 4 guys on the defensive line. If they can do that, it's game over for TCU. But if they can't, they're bringing another threat with that running game at the quarterback that Michigan has just really not seen so far this year. A couple shout-outs here. To close, Super Chats, Captain Nemo, he says, FOSU, let's go blue, beat TCU. FOSU, 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 FOSU. Let's go blue. All right, let's go. Cody Mompher. Cody, thank you so much. I know, Cody, we were putting some helmets earlier. We were making sure we were covering everything from last week because we got the helmet. Look at that right there, Cody, where my hand is. You see that bad boy? God, it's good. Cody Mompher right there with the helmet sticker, as I've got the wig all over. There's hair from the wig on this helmet. He says, nothing special to say, just love the show, sir. Cody, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Really appreciate everyone. We've had a great year. I'll look back on this season, 30 years from now, 20 years from now, and say I was, privileged enough to talk to, well over 500,000 people a month so far this season have watched the show. The biggest platform now, we're outdoing the numbers we're doing are certainly by far the biggest on YouTube, but from the numbers we've seen, bigger than any radio station. And it's not because of you. It's you guys have engaged and have spread the gospel. And I'll look back in 20 years and say, wow, I was able to be a small part of a special season, a potential national championship season for Michigan. And I really want to thank you guys for joining in to the fun. It is, we're going to put this out on the morning of game day. So, guys, I will see you later tonight if you're watching on Saturday. And we are either going to go live celebrating a Michigan win over TCU, or we are going to be, drinking our sorrows away on New Year's Eve. Either way, till I see you, go blue.